Hey guys, I'm at one of the largest prehistoric megalithic sites in India. This is a hill near a remote village called Hirebinakal in southern India, a very mysterious place which has hundreds of strange stone structures built on top of the hill. Even though archaeologists say these are prehistoric structures built around 5,000 years ago, local people insist that these structures were not created by human beings and were built much earlier in time. They say these huge structures, which number in the hundreds, were built by a race of extraterrestrials called Maurya, who visited us from another planet.
Maurya ante meaning ಏನು Maurya ante small ಚಿಕ್ಕರು Maurya.
Locals say the Maurya were only 2 feet tall and were responsible for teaching human beings various arts and sciences. Locals usually don't visit the site due to fear of disrespecting the Maurya, but this gentleman has decided to help me. Archaeologists and historians also don't visit the site for a different reason. Bears. This is fresh bear poop and I don't have bear spray. He tells me there are at least 3 dozen bears on the hill and we should go back as soon as possible, but I insist on staying because there is something very mysterious about these mushroom-like structures. How are these structures built? You can see how these rocks have been sliced into thin slivers. The roof of these houses are nearly 12 feet long, but only 2 inches thick. How did ancient men slice these rocks into thin slivers without breaking them? Even today, this is not possible without metal tools. How are they able to lift these massive rocks and balance them onto these thin slices like playing cards? And how do they transport thousands of these rocks from a different place? The larger stone structures are about 8 feet tall enough for human beings to enter, but look at these smaller ones. The entire structure is less than 2 feet tall and 2 feet wide, too small for anyone to fit in. This one is 4 feet tall, but the entrance is just 1 feet in diameter. How could a person of normal size get inside this small hole? And how are these circular holes made without metal tools? Archaeologists claim that these structures are not houses, but tombstones. They say these stones were erected on top of dead people to remember them. However, archaeology reports also confirm that they could only find animal bones and no human bones were ever found in this area. If this entire place was used for burial, we should have already found hundreds of skeletons or at least a few human bones. And even more important, they have not found any metal tools. If human beings built these structures as tombstones, why did they spend their lifetimes slicing these rocks with primitive stone tools? The truth is, experts know very little about this place. They don't even know the original name of this place. But locals call it Maurya Tate. The word Maurya refers to the race of extraterrestrials, and the word Tate means a saucer or a plate in Kannada, which is the language of the state. These people call this place Maurya Tate because they claim that extraterrestrials landed here in a flying saucer. This is incredible because in my previous video, I showed you the cave paintings clearly depicting the flying saucer and astronauts in a place called Onakekindi. This site is just 15 miles from those cave paintings. And even more important, villagers around the cave paintings also refer to this specific painting as Maurya Tate, which explicitly tells us that this was a flying saucer. Who are these Maurya? Locals say the Maurya were much smaller than humans, looked reptilian, and preferred to live underground. Exploring deep into remote villages, I realized that Maurya is simply another name for Nagas, the popular snake gods of India. Village temples confirm that Maurya and Naga are the same. The Nagas are also shown as smaller figures living underground with reptilian features in various temples, confirming that Mauryas are, in fact, Nagas. Now, I had previously shown you the UFO cave painting at Onakekindi, but have not shown you what's inside the cave. Inside the cave is another important painting, a hooded cobra, which is a symbol of Naga. This is a very huge painting with a hooded cobra coming out of the cave. The body of the cobra goes all the way into the cave for many feet, symbolizing the underground Nagas. Is it possible that these Nagas are, in fact, extraterrestrials who landed here on a flying saucer? What would have happened when these advanced extraterrestrials contacted primitive human beings? If Maurya Tate is the very first place of this contact, why were these structures built? What could have possibly been the purpose of building nearly 400 stone houses on top of the hill? While archaeologists have no answers for these questions, locals say these structures were built as a training ground to teach human beings how to cut and balance rocks. As evidence, they point to this huge boulder balanced on top of a slippery slope. Locals claim that extraterrestrials sliced this round boulder in half, just like how we cut butter. If we assume that human beings somehow sliced these smaller rocks and balanced them with primitive tools, how do we explain this rock, which weighs nearly 20 tons, standing on a slippery slope? Archaeologists acknowledge that this rock is an important landmark in their plaques and call it stone kettle drum because if you strike this rock, it sounds like a bell. But they don't offer any explanation about how prehistoric people could cut a huge boulder like a half-sliced tennis ball. Locals claim that these aliens not only trained human beings how to cut rocks, but also taught them various sciences and arts, and this is how all human civilization began. Did human beings who worked closely with these extraterrestrials become a superior group among other human beings? Did this group, armed with advanced stone-cutting technology, build these extraordinary temples in India? If this is true, shouldn't the temples also have carvings of these flying saucers? The Lepakshi Temple, a brilliant monument holding the world's largest monolithic bull and other giant structures, is an excellent example of ancient rock-cutting technology. The real mystery, however, is the series of giant circles more than 3 feet wide carved on the ground. They're all circular with several smaller circles inside the circumference. Now, compare these carvings with the cave painting found nearly 180 miles away. Do you honestly think this is a coincidence that they look the same? Now, even more interesting, the locals in Lepakshi Temple also call these carvings as tate, which means saucer or plate. Even though the name has stuck for thousands of years, locals don't know why they are called saucers, and they think ancient people were using them as eating plates. Watch what the tour guide says.
It's a meal plate. Middle guy nowadays hotel में होचला मरी hotel ला इच्छले Bombay plate है. और plate इच्ची 4 curries इस्तार का.
Oh,
meal plate model मरी जो बिचार इकड़ा मोड plate लोना है. चाला उन्ना है. अकड़ा उन्ना है. मंटा का लोपला.
The idea that people could carve the world's largest monolithic structures in this temple, but still did not have metal plates and ate from the floor, is of course nonsense. These carvings, which have baffled experts before, clearly represent the flying saucers that landed on Earth. In fact, we can see similar representations of these saucers in many mysterious temples, including Ellora caves. We can also see the Moryar or Nagas carved all over Ellora caves with the same features: smaller than humans, reptilian traits, and living underground. Is it possible that Nagas worked with ancient human beings to build megalithic structures like Ellora caves? Is this why experts are unable to explain the hundreds of underground tunnels at Ellora caves, which are too small for human beings to enter? In standard history books, we read that Ellora caves were created by primitive people using simple tools like chisels and hammers. If so, why do we not see the enormous amount of rocks removed from Ellora caves? Going back to Moryar Tate, what about this rock that is sliced in half? Where is the other half? If this is the place where extraterrestrials taught human beings how to cut rocks, we must be able to see more evidence in the same region. In my next video, I will explore the mountains nearby and prove to you that ancient Indian temples were not created using chisels and hammers. So what do you think? Did Nagas come in flying saucers and civilize the primitive human beings? How else can we explain this advanced rock-cutting technology, local stories, and the cave paintings and carvings of flying saucers? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'm Praveen Mohan. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.